It wasn't painful, it was frustrating.
Yeah, it must be difficult for him.
He didn't know how to feel. He didn't know where he stood.
Even if allegedly what's happened has happened, it's still not guaranteed that you're gonna have success.
We move.
Yeah.
And it got dealt with. Wasn't ideal. And here we are now.
I'm amazed that you say, I was okay with Pep telling me that I wasn't right for Man City, because you've gone through this dip, you've done the work, you've risen again. You feels to me like just before, the start of 2016, like you're in a great place. So when you get the message from Pep Guardiola that you're not the right man for him, how are you okay with that? Surely that was unbelievably painful.
It wasn't painful, it was frustrating. It wasn't painful. It was a great man who had a vision that I didn't fit into. It was frustrating. I didn't mind, if it was to go to a panel and coaches were sat there and my name was brought up and he said, no, for me, that's not, which is what he said. He's a good goalkeeper. But for me, the system doesn't work, which is fine for his opinion. But then he took charge of the club that I was a part of and that I loved.
Yeah.
But what can you do? What can you do? I'd love to have stayed and tried to prove otherwise, not even prove, it would have been, look, I can try and help you to come to the level that I need you to, but I can't start you. But I'm living in that world where I want to play for England. I want to play at the highest possible level. And you can't play for England if you're being trialed at a football club. Well, I couldn't at the time.
Yeah.
So, it was just an unfortunate circumstance. But I don't think it wasn't a personal attack on me. It was a man who had a vision and I didn't fit into it.
And what was the conversation like then?
Oh, it was apparent that I think he signed maybe in February. I think it was announced Manuel wouldn't carry on. Grumblings, and obviously I don't even know was he a free agent at the time or was he finishing his tenure at Bayern?
Yeah.
Football, we played good football at Manchester City, but we weren't of that brand, so I'd never played that and none of us had. It was a new brand for all of us and it was something that was obvious that he was going to bring in. And obviously he, I was deep in a contract at the club. I was probably 3.5 years, maybe even 4 years left on a deal. The club were committed to me. I was committed to them, but their golden goose was to get Pep. There was no, and I thought, great, I'd love to be a part of that. And then he came in and pulled me very early. We spoke as, I think I came back early to go and meet them in China because I got the vibe that it wasn't set in stone for me, and I needed to have some sort of conversation.
How did you get that vibe?
Good question. You just do, right? I'd imagine he's going to be the new manager. I was a senior player. Yeah. He's the kind of person that I'd imagine there would have been a conversation previous to coming into training, looking forward to working with you. That didn't happen. I don't know if that's how he works. I don't know. I don't work with the guy. But came in, and Xavi still there, someone who I've got a great relationship, still do now, doing a great job at Manchester City. He said he didn't know how to feel. He didn't know where he stood. He was still waiting to meet the manager. And I just kind of put two and two together. And then we got in front of each other and he told me that as much as he admired me as a person, he didn't think I could fit into his system. To which I was like, look, I don't agree with you, but that's your opinion. Is that something that we can work on together? Or is that something where I need to find a new home? To which he said, look, I would work. I'm happy to work, but I can't put everything aside that I'm trying to do. I'm here to win. And I respect that. I mean, he was here to win. He wasn't here to give me a good career or look after me. He needed a goalkeeper that he felt could function because he's the kind of coach who he needs all his people to work, and then he'll tell them what to do and where to go and how it works, which I've been a part of up in, Scotland, playing for a similar sort of manager. And when you're one of those pieces, it's such an interesting way to play. But I wasn't a trusted piece and I was in a very important position. So if I'm not a trusted piece, he can't put me into a system which, whether it's a 50-50, whether it works or not. He didn't know whether I could or whether I couldn't. I didn't know whether I could or couldn't. But he didn't have the time, hence me saying about the life that we live and national team trying to win. He's in that life too. So he didn't have the time for that. And I didn't fit in. So,
but you had that lovely example from a couple of years earlier where you've decided to go and build relationships and find common ground that eventually leads to you being able to develop stronger professional relationships. Did you try and find that common ground with him on a personal level?
Yeah, 100%. That's how had the same conversations. We actually went in depth. It's a shame. I know it's important. It's an important thing to talk about, but it's a shame it's such a vital part of my story because of a 21, 22-year story. He's a month.
Yeah.
And we move.
Yeah.
And it got dealt with. Wasn't ideal. And here we are now.
I suppose the reason why it's a big deal for people is that this was the beginning of the Man City we see today. And I suppose I wonder how it was for you after that time, watching the success that came, thinking, man, I was there. And
we were pretty successful.
Yeah, you were.
We did all right for a team that hadn't necessarily won in a while. We were part of the first team to win the FA Cup. You know, we didn't just win one Premier League, we won two. We were winning whatever the League Cup was called at the time. So it didn't hurt too much. And that wasn't my team that did the rest, so I just supported. I love that club. Love everything about the club. Love the people. They welcomed me as a 19-year-old boy. The Premier League was everything to me. The club was doing their best to stay in the league at the time. It was amazing. Some amazing people that are still there now. But what comes with great power? Lots and change. Not many people survive. And you know the ones that survived? They're literally some of the best players in the world to have ever played the game. And I'm all right, but I'm not that guy.
Look, we all know the struggle of deciding what to eat, but what if I told you that Huel can make that decision easier? Their taster bundle has got 8 ready-to-drink bottles, including their black edition, which has got 35 grams of protein, 6 daily A to Z vitamins, 8 complete nutrition bars, 2 hot savoury pots, and a free Huel t-shirt. All you have to do is click the link in the description to unlock your offer now at huel.com/highperformance. Do you remember the first thing you saw Pep doing where you thought?
Honestly, the first thing I seen, I didn't think it was going to be work. So when I seen the setup of the training and the way they play, I'm thinking, it's like he's so demanding on the players in terms of how the passing drills. It's like, no, this is a game. So he can obviously create an environment where whatever we do is game mode, which is probably hard. I don't think there's other managers that have that ability to recreate. Every rep is so important on the training ground. And I remember watching it thinking, the way what you're asking him to do necessarily isn't that difficult. I'm not sure it's going to work. Thinking, not sure that works. And as easy as it may look on the training ground, and then fast forward 12 months. And even in his first season when it wasn't as successful, but you could still see bits. So he was like, they're the bits that he's trying to get to. Now he just needs to make a consistency of it all. And
how does he create that intensity?
Yeah, if I knew, I would be the second best coach in the world. And I think if everyone else knew, they would be top. But I also believe he must have a personality trait that allows him to get that best out of players, because if it was something you could learn, we'd all want to learn it.
Let's talk about some of his big decisions as well. There was that period where he got loads of criticism for not playing Phil Foden. And everyone's saying, Phil has to leave because he's not getting development. Now look what we have.
Yeah.
How's he seeing so far in advance that he knows the right thing at that moment is what he was doing for Phil?
Experience. I'm not saying Phil is Messi, but he's had players of that caliber that he's seen, this is how you're going to perform at that level. He's not going to learn something that is not going to be as relevant. Like Phil Foden and Rico Lewis, to a certain extent, have learnt a way and the reps in the academy that probably only benefit them a lot more at Man City. So going to learn something at another club, I don't need you to do that 2 or 3 times a game. I need you to do this 9 times a game.
And how does he get these young players out to be patient and accept that it's a process rather than just the outcome of getting in the spotlight early?
I think that's a combination of him, the players there as well, and the club, the way they manage that. You regardless of who you are, you can't believe you're going to come from the academy straight into the first team and play every week, because they're signing top 2 or 3 best players in their position, in every position. So for you to think, 1 as a club and 2 as a player, are you going to come from there and be in the top 3 in the world? No, there's going to be a process, a period of time that you're going to have to develop certain things and enhance, because it's all right being able to do it, but now you're doing it against and with the very best. And certain aspects, it might be easier for them in the first team because you're playing with the best players.
Right.
Like, greatest respect to players Rico Lewis played with in academy, but he wasn't Kevin De Bruyne. He wasn't able to look up and see Kevin De Bruyne, or Haaland. So is that easier or harder? Who knows?
Yeah.
But it's definitely something that you'd think he can do. If he can do it there with that player, then Kevin De Bruyne's going to make himself available. So you might be able to do it there as well.
So if we pick one player then that looked exceptional in the City system and has gone on to shine elsewhere, Cole Palmer. What was your experience of him?
Oh, I love him. What a guy. It's funny. It's someone that just loves football, so lax. And when you see him do his interviews, and it's genuinely him, genuinely just loves the game. And not surprising me in terms of his talent, what he's doing, what he's achieving. Like, yeah, a special talent.
And how did he come to leave City? Did he want to leave? Or?
I think it was a combination of both. I think he wanted to leave. They was willing to sell. I don't think it was anyone's one decision. I think it was like, yeah, if Cole Palmer stays, my belief, if Cole Palmer stays at Man City, he doesn't go to the Euros. Now he's going to the Euros, so it wasn't a bad decision by him.
And would Pep look at that and think, I shouldn't have let him go, look how good he is?
No, Pep knew how good he is. I don't think that was a thing. I just think it was a case of, well, you're not going to feature as much as you want for me. And he was like, well, okay, then I'll go and feature somewhere else. And it worked. Like, if City win the double and not the treble, it isn't because Cole Palmer wasn't there. You know what I mean? They lost on pens to Real Madrid. That's okay for the reason for you not to win the treble, not because you sold Cole Palmer. And I think the system that Man City and Pep has created, in great respect, I don't think they're going to miss any one player. I don't think any one player is going to be like, oh, you should have kept him. I just think you can...
Surely when Kevin De Bruyne goes, they're going to have to try and do something.
Yeah, but I don't think... but you've had him. I mean, if you sell someone, like, you're not selling Kevin De Bruyne in his prime, so you're going to miss him. But also, I think there's an opportunity, what we've seen this season, for Phil to step in there. And the key for me is Phil is equally as effective as Kevin, but just in different ways. Like, so you can't... When Kevin's not playing, don't expect someone to do what Kevin does. Have the impact he has, 100%. I want Phil to have the impact Kevin has, but not in the same way. I don't want him to pick up the ball and bend one and make a ridiculous pass. Phil Foden picks up the ball and goes past three players and slides a pass. The outcome's still the same, but the way he got there was totally different. And that's the way it's going to have to evolve. Everyone's going to have to be equally as efficient, equally as impactful, but in their own way.
What do you say to people when they criticise City?
Listen, it's hard because, again, nothing's been confirmed. So I don't even know what these charges are, what they allegedly are, kind of thing. So I'm not educated enough to know. But I think it's because of the success that they are. I don't think it would be as documented as much if they wasn't as successful. Because there's other teams that have spent more money and not been as successful. So even if allegedly what's happened has happened, like, it's still not guaranteed that you're gonna have success. Like, teams have spent more money and not had success. So there has to be a level of respect for what these players have achieved.
And that's the problem, isn't it? And this isn't me defending or criticising Man City, but when people talk about the charges or they say there's an asterisk next to it, it removes everything that's been done.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? All of the hours of hard work. And of course you can go, well, it's a financial thing, but you still can't remove the great stuff that's been done.
Yeah, no, yeah. Again, because it's not guaranteed. Even if, like you said, you do make the allegations, whatever, confirm them or stick, whatever, it still doesn't guarantee that you're going to win 4 in a row. Like, it doesn't mean that is correlation. You do that and you get this. No, it's still a lot more that comes in between. And like I said, these group of players deserve this moment in time.
I wonder how Pep feels about it, because he has worked so hard to turn that team into what it is.
Yeah.
Regardless of the money that's been spent.
Yeah, it must be difficult for him to. But listen, I don't think anyone's going to tarnish Pep's reputation. I think when he's gone, he's going to be missed. The Premier League's going to miss Pep, and I think it's going to be considered the greatest era